it is time for another classic JP and the Beans 5. The topic for today's top 5, inspired by Captain America, Brave New World, is a top 5 of the successors to the original mantle of various superheroes. For example, Sam Wilson stepping in as Captain America in place of Steve Rogers and doing it so well. So our top 5 successors. Beans, you go first.
I just want to stick with the premise here. This was hard. This was a lot harder.
More candidates than you would expect.
A lot harder than I expected it to be.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
So at number 5,
let's hear it.
I have Terry McGinnis as Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Batman Beyond, baby. I grew up with Batman Beyond. He was awesome.
Yeah.
It's
a great show.
It's a nice
Gracious.
It's a nice little nod to Bruce.
Yep.
Like he's finally accepted the fact that I can't be Batman anymore. And by the way,
I'm 100. I can't do it.
If you thought Bruce Wayne was an anus before as Batman, oh dear Lord,
old man Bruce.
He just ages perfectly into an old man. There's a great episode in Justice League. I can't remember if it's the animated series or the unlimited series. Batman goes into the future with a couple other people, so he's working with Terry McGinnis, and he meets the old Bruce Wayne, and those two are talking, and Batman is like intimidating this guy, and old Bruce Wayne's like, man, I was really soft back then. And then he goes in and like terrifies the guy as an old man. So no, it's great, dude. And Terry brings this Terry McGinnis brings this crash talking, more positive, hey, I'm gonna get under your skin a little bit. Mm-hmm. There's a great scene where he's fighting the Joker because the Joker comes back and he's shit talking the Joker the whole time. He's like, there's a reason the old man never laughed at you because you're just not that funny. Stuff like this, it's great. It's brilliant. So I got Terry McGinnis as Batman Beyond.
I love that.
At number 5.
That's a great pull. And what a fascinating and well-executed concept.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's wild to me that it hasn't even been efforted as a live-action feature film yet.
It's stupid. No,
it is.
It feels like an alley-oop. Michael Keaton is sitting right there, and I will go out on another limb here. Mark Hamill as an old Joker would be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. And both those guys would be down for that action.
Mark Hamill might be a harder pull, just because...
He's got nothing to do.
Yeah, but he also said, he's like, my Batman died. So I can't... I'm done playing the Joker.
Okay.
So I respect it. And so maybe that's where we get...
just add another 0 to his check, and I think he'll...
or we get Willem Dafoe.
Buy some flowers and come do the thing.
I'd be okay with old Willem Dafoe in there.
Yikes. I mean, yikes in a good way.
There's options.
Yikes.
Okay, there's options, was my point.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a layup. Oh, I mean, and it would be like a fresh take on Batman. It'd be a nice little
no, truly though.
Breath of fresh air.
Right. If you're going to do these, if DC is really going to try and do this, hey, here's our primary universe, but also we're doing these Elseworlds projects. Hello. Boy, is this an easy one.
Well, it's just
the easiest, actually.
It's an instant hit.
Yeah.
It's a home run.
Why not make it a live action show? You don't have to do the live action feature film if you don't want. Make it a live action show.
Oh, it'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my number 5.
We could really have the top 5 right there.
I know.
That should just be number freaking 1. All right. That was really
could
good.
be.
Yeah. My number 5 is Jon Stewart as Green Lantern of Sector 2814. After Hal Jordan's untimely demise when he was consumed by Parallax and blew up. Tough to come back from that. Although Hal did, because comics. John was such a strong alternative to Hal because he had his own firm personality, but rather than being so braggadocious and reckless like Hal, he's very measured, very detail-oriented. One of my favorite panels in comics is actually after Hal comes back. I want to say it's the Hal Jordan Rebirth storyline, but Hal is describing how different each of his fellow Green Lanterns utilize their rings. So there's Kyle Rayner, there's Guy Gardner, and Kyle's got this artist background, and so he's he just has that artistic flair to what he's doing. Guy Gardner is just a lunatic, and so you don't know what's going to happen with Guy's ring.
Lots of baseball bats.
Lots of baseball bats and clubs. But then Jon Stewart has just the most granular level of detail to all of his constructs that he makes with his ring. That's just unparalleled from every other Green Lantern that Hal Jordan has ever interacted with. I think that's just such a fun little nugget of a detail.
Yeah, he's got the soldier in him, you know.
He does, and the background of an architect as well. So he's got more than a few hats that he can wear, Mr. Jon Stewart. So that's my number 5.
I just learned something. Architect did not know that. Yeah.
My number 4 is Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Now, Miles gets introduced in the Ultimate Universe and eventually gets folded into Earth 616. This for me is heavily based on the 2 animated films that we've had in the last several years. That's been such a delight. And for most of my lifetime, okay, and I'm getting old, for most of my friggin' lifetime, I didn't care for these successors to the mantle. I'm like, give me the OG, and that's it. Miles, among others, has opened this old codger's heart to how fun the successors or the different versions of these characters can be. He is an absolute gem. Total, almost completely different power set, similar but not the same backstory, and just Peter Parker has always been a youthful character, and yet he's also been around for decades. That I feel like Miles injected some really necessary youthfulness into the Spider-Man just character as a whole. So Miles Morales is my number 4.
My number 4 is Flash Thompson's Venom.
Wow.
Agent Venom. What a fresh take on the Venom character,
Great.
Okay?
Yep.
It's out of left field. You're so used to him being monstrous, right? It's Eddie Brock, who's huge. We had Matt Gargan, a.k.a. Scorpion, as Venom for a little while. And
Beefcake.
And he was
Beefquake.
And he was even more vicious than Eddie. He definitely leaned way more on the villain side than Eddie did. Right. And to have Flash not only be able to redeem the suit, but redeem himself. Yeah. You know, he's soldier, lost both his legs. Like, to see him kind of become a hero in his own right. Yeah. I thought it was brilliant. And it's such a nod to that character, too, because people are kind of torn on what Venom they'd rather have. Do they want Agent Venom? Do we want regular Venom? That's why we have Agent Anti-Venom running around now. Mm-hmm. So we do have both worlds out there. Yeah. But yeah, dude, Flash Thompson's Venom is my number 4.
I love that. Love that. Your number 3, sir.
My number 3. Okay. My childhood is showing. Okay. I have Wally West Flash.
He was going to be on there somewhere.
I love Wally. Wally is my Flash. He's such a breath of fresh air on that Justice League animated team. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the fun one. Mm-hmm. He has a good time.
You need him. You need him in there.
Because think about it. Superman, serious. Wonder Woman, serious. Batman, serious.
Mm-hmm. Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Probably has never cracked a joke.
Jon Stewart. Jeez. Or not John. Yeah, no, Jon Stewart.
Correct.
Manhunter.
Yep.
Hawk Girl. Mm-hmm. These are all serious people.
Yeah, these are all pretty sober folks. You need a little Wally.
And it goes to show how important he is, because then they show an alternate timeline where he dies early and then the Justice League turns into the Justice Overlords. Mm. And so they realize how he's just the heart of the team. But he
balances them out in a big way.
So I got him at number 3.
I love that. Okay, my number 3 is Jane Foster as Thor. Now, I remember when the lead up to this reveal, if you want to even call it that, the lead up to the reveal, who knows? And rightfully so, there was skepticism, like, okay, we're just turning the character of Thor into a girl. And it wasn't that. In fact, what it was instead is Thor Odinson buys into what Gore the God Butcher tells him, that, hey, dude, you're not worthy. Hence, Thor Odinson loses the ability to wield Mjolnir. So now there's a gap. There's a void that's created. Thor Odinson is still out there, but he's brooding Thor now. Okay, he's not in a very good place. And here's little Jane Foster stricken with what appears to be terminal cancer, who is able to take up Mjolnir, and she develops her own Thor persona and her own skill set. What's really fun is her interaction and ability to utilize Mjolnir is completely unique and individual to her own character. And there's this fascinating element of sacrifice that goes into this as well, because every time that Jane Foster picks up Mjolnir and adopts the Thor persona of her own, her body stops fighting the cancer. As a matter of fact, what happens, let me be a little more clear on that. Her body kills the chemo drugs that are fighting the cancer. And so now the cancer is just free to ravage her human body. So she gets more and more sick every time she takes on the Thor mantle. You think, well, just stop it. Well, problem is, Odinson's not picking up that hammer anytime soon. Somebody's got to do it. And so there's just a genuine need that she's filling. It's a very self-sacrificial storyline. And listen, it works really freaking well. Really enjoyable. So my number 3, Jane Foster as Thor. And I am going to dunk here real quick on the movie. The movie didn't do this justice.
No.
Not even a little bit. So,
so corny.
Movie, it was poor.
Read the book.
In the movie. Read the book. Jason Aaron absolutely crushed it with his story, and the movie did it no freaking favors. Okay, so that's my number 3. My number 2, Dick Grayson as Batman. After Final Crisis, when Bruce Wayne is shot with time bullets.
That's a callback.
That's a callback. Old Dick takes on the mantle, and he does so not because he's going, finally, I gotta be Batman, but the world doesn't know that Batman is gone, doesn't know that Batman is absent. And so Dick feels obligated to set aside the Nightwing persona, put on the Caped Crusader's mantle, and continue to make appearances as Batman. And what makes this really fun and frankly even more hard for Dick is guess who he's got to partner up with? Damian as Robin. And Damian is not impressed. He is just in Dick's ear every moment after moment telling him, you're not as good as my dad. You're not very good at this. You should really give this up. You're really bad at being Batman. And it is just a delight to watch those two partner up together, because Dick ultimately ends up bringing out a much better side of Damian than was there to begin with. And there's actually a really fun Batman and Robin run that's just Dick and Damian for a good, a lot of issues, and really, really enjoyable. So that's my number 2, Dick Grayson as Batman. Time bullets.
My number 2, again, showing the childhood, John Stewart, Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know Hal Jordan existed growing up.
Why would you?
No, I wouldn't need it.
No.
Because guess what? John's a badass. Okay. John got it done. He's out there in the trenches building airplanes and stuff. John's the man. John is 100% the man.
100%.
I loved him. I loved his storylines through that show. So I'm everything that you said, it applies here. John at number 2.
This will make us very excited for the upcoming Lanterns show, where John is our guy.
As long as it's John, not what they were saying.
Not Joan.
Yes.
Well, it's gonna be John. I think it's gonna be solid.
I just want the personalities to be the same.
Yep.
So
totally get that.
That's my number 2.
Great number 2. Who is your number 1?
My number 1 is Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm.
By a mile and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, for everything that you said, great. They managed to make him different in his own way, with even the power set, being able to go invisible, having the ability to electrocute people with a venom blast. Awesome. And I think the highlight, which it kind of shows it a little bit into and across Spider-Verse, but Spider-Man PS5, they do such a great job of putting Peter in the mentor role. Yeah. And I think that gets lost with Peter. Like, Peter is a great mentor figure.
Yep.
Great, like, hey, this is, like, he's a teacher in a sense deep down as well. So to have him not just have the whole weight on his shoulders, but to also be responsible for another version of him. Yeah. And in Spider-Man PS5, it actually goes to show how important Miles is in Peter's life. as it is the other way around.
Right.
Miles is the reason the Venom suit does not consume Peter as a whole.
Yeah.
Like he's the one who saved him from that.
Yeah.
And where in the comics, you have Peter fighting it off himself. Like somebody else it has to be looking out for Peter.
Yeah.
And they mesh so well together. They're so fun to see together. Banter back and forth.
It's a great combination. Like it's so complimentary. It works, and it shouldn't, but it does.
And he didn't need to be like Scarlet Spider or
right
or we could keep going down the different versions of spiders
options,
right?
Yeah.
And as cool as it would be for him to have his own name, like him being Spider-Man as well is just the level of respect that Peter has for Miles as well.
Right.
Like he's there's room for two of us.
Yep.
So and Miles, you could also make the argument right now is probably more appealing character right now than Peter, because they put Peter through the shitter all the time, and Miles, he's dealing with that kind of stuff too. But
he just embodies the hope that Spider-Man has always represented, and I think it's just become harder as the years have passed for Peter Parker to be able to embody that with as much crap as he's gone through. And it's a totally organic path. Like the character of Peter Parker has been around for decades. It's like, that you can't keep that fresh in the true meaning of the word. And Miles has been such a complimentary refreshment to that character without, and this is what's fascinating, so beautiful about it, without entirely displacing Peter Parker. It's like, no, these two characters coexist so well together.
Yeah.
It's great.
So that's my number one.
Very good number one, sir. My number one is Bucky Barnes as Captain America. After Civil War, when Steve Rogers is shot with, checks notes, time bullets. A lot of time bullets here, guys. There's a freaking theme. Damn you, comics. Time bullets. Get out of here with this crap. But nonetheless, it does happen. Steve Rogers is shot with time bullets. He's no longer Captain America. And Bucky reluctantly takes on the mantle of Captain America, speaking of unworthy, feeling deeply, deeply unworthy to embody the persona that Steve was able to portray so well for years. Bucky knows his past, knows how corrupted he has been, and just doesn't feel like he's up to snuff. And so there's this beautiful redemption arc of Bucky just as a person. And Sam Wilson comes into play. Natasha Romanoff is in play and part of that process. And watching Bucky embody the persona of such a pure character, even though he knows he's deeply flawed, is one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. So Bucky Barnes, my number one.
There you go.
Riles.
That's it.